Alright, Diablo 4 players, the brand new mega patch mid-season just hit on the official Blizzard notes. So let's go ahead and check it out. This is a massive patch notes. I'm going to try to give you guys the more important info off of it, but this patch note came out today. However, the actual patch doesn't go through until November 19th. So in just a couple more days, we're going to be getting this balance update. So let's go over everything that you actually want to know about it. So as far as it goes, there's going to be some balance updates. Some of the runes that really didn't see some play or weren't really that strong may see a little bit more play now. So with Neo, it's no longer blocked by invulnerability, and then the tooltip specifically states that you must take health damage to stop this effect. And then with Moni, we got the offerings that are able to activate it or is going to get increased. And then with the invocation runes, this looks like it's going to be a buff to the meteorite, so the spread's going to be reduced. Maybe we could see a meteor build arrive here. And then on top of that, the meteorites have a less delay between volleys. With Seth, summons a little spirit wolves. Most of these, by the way, just as a heads up, these are great for like leveling, but as far as endgame, for these to be your main source of damage, unless you're able to build into it, more than likely it's not going to be like super OP or anything, just to keep expectations realistic with these changes. And with Tal, we get some extra. We get 3 Pestilent Swarms, but the damage does get reduced by them. So in theory, it is more damage because you get 3 of them. And with Vex, you get the increased duration, and it's going to refresh properly, so that's kind of cool. And then with Lum, you get an increase from 1% to 2.5, so that's like basically more than double. And then the Thul with the offering cost got changed from 400 to 300. And then as far as the Mercenaries go, they overall buffed a bunch of their duration on some sort of effect, but a lot of these damages overall, it does not matter. For leveling, sure, it can do a little bit more, but for the most part, don't expect these damage numbers to be realistic to like help you in a pit 100 plus. It doesn't matter. So basically with Rahir, we got some extra taunt duration. They increased the cooldown reduction by like 10% here and there. And then they're going to increase the burst damage of like some abilities. Again, don't expect this to be real damage. They're basically there as support. And then they remove the ability to use potion while at maximum life with the draw fire. And then Varyana, which is going to be the Berserker. A lot of people use this one for the secondary to get an extra attack speed. Then we got increased stun duration, some more damage. Again, like the damage numbers really don't matter. And then we got increased slow duration, damage reduction, and then Taste of Flesh. We got increased by double, get an extra heal, so that's kind of cool. But overall, these increase in damage is, well, where it gives you the increased damage, that would matter in all the duration. If you're getting like stuns, slows, like those got all increased by a little bit, 2 or 3 seconds here and there, which is nice. But again, it's not going to matter too much. But with Mastermind, with Subo, I guess you get increased crowd control duration, and this is good for certain classes like the Rogue or the Sorceress to go ahead and crowd control the boss, because that's where you get to deal your big DPS most of the time. As far as Aldecan goes, no one really plays this one. Let's be real here. Now, if you guys do need a guide on the Mercenaries, we just dropped one recently, and it's pretty much going to be the same. I mean, again, increasing the damage of the Mercenaries doesn't really affect stuff, but the durations, well, that's going to be a nice little bonus. Now into the class balance, and don't worry, they sorted it in this way, but there are other class balance changes for other builds, specifically with the Mythic uniques that could open up the doors for all builds. So even if you're like, oh, I only play Spiritborn, watch the full video. I promise there's extra stuff for other classes. They didn't sort it correctly. Well, for every single class, because certain classes can utilize certain things more than others, but starting right off with the Spiritborn, Withering Fist over here, this is the basic skill. Does this really matter, getting 6% damage? Probably not, but it's Spiritborn, so everything is pretty powerful anyways. And then the Sharp Withering Fist, you get like some increases, doesn't really matter. Toxic Skin, you get a 6% increase on top of a 30%, on top of the Measured Toxic Skin, getting another from 15 to 36, so maybe you can try to mess around with some sort of Toxic Skin build with like some sort of Thorns mixed in. And then they updated Soar on Controller, or whatever. It lets you target enemies instead of going max distance, so you'll actually hit your targets, but as far as I'm aware of, there's no Soar build. Like, you can't really spam it and have it be super effective. There's like a really fast Jaguar build, which I'll drop eventually, that is just much faster, so I don't think anyone's going to really like care too much about this, but for controller players, cool. Razor Wings, this may actually open up the doors for another build, so the damage got increased by another huge amount. So instead of it being 50%, it's 75%, and then it no longer has a short cooldown between casts, so maybe this will be something to be having some fun with, because it's something that is kind of underutilized. Then we had Enhanced Rushing Claw getting some bonuses, getting damage per hit increased from 10% to 20. The maximum bonus got increased from 80 to 100. Then with the Rushing Claw, the dodge got increased, whatever. Toxic Globes, damage now scales with the Devourer skill ranks, and then also with the Exalted Devourer. The Pestilent Swarm's damage now scales with the Devourer skill rank. So maybe you can make a Pestilent Swarm build, which is kind of cool. I believe there's a build where you can basically have almost like a Hammerden if you played Diablo 2. Think of kind of like that fantasy. So we'll mess around with that as well. And then Intricacy, the bonus got increased by 2 seconds with Nourishment. At the highest ranks, you get another 3x multiplicative damage. So again, nice little buffs over there. The Adaptive Stances, the boost duration goes for another 2 seconds. Chance to heal get increased. Bruiser's Aspect. This could open the doors for some low life armor stacking builds because there is an aspect that gives you more damage based on your armor. And if you can get, well, I mean, if you're at like 1% HP, right, you're looking at almost 200% increased armor, which that's a pretty big number, and that might actually open up the doors for good builds. And then Avoidance over here, we got Dodge Chance increase, whatever, it doesn't really matter. The Vigor Drain got reduced over here. And then the aspect of Deflection, the damage got increased over here, getting it almost like double over there. Then Soil Power over here, we got damage increased from 60% to 250. That's a big increase. So perhaps take a look at that. And then the Nasik, the Herald, the duration between marks got reduced. This is the mythic item. It's really weird that they came out with mythics and no one uses the mythics, but now maybe it's a good time to actually try it out and have some fun with it. Now, unfortunately, it does randomly target one thing, so yeah, you'll have like, I believe like you get 10 overpowers and guaranteed crits or something like that, but it can only last for so long, and then after that it's going to select another target. So the duration, maybe if it is going to be able to like retarget something, this could actually maybe be the next best thing after, of course, we get some major nerfs to the Radakipileke because that thing is bugged and well, it's in almost every single build. As far as the Dark Citadel, they're fixing some bugs over here where like Subo didn't move properly with the markings. Hopefully this gets fixed because like I hate that issue where like on the top right in the minimap, he wouldn't mark stuff, and the whole reason why you'd play him is to kind of mark things. So that's kind of cool. As far as the Caress Undercity, they're fixing some of the bugs. There was a huge issue where like a lot of times you'd put in the tributes and it just wouldn't give you the rewards. I can confirm that that thing is pretty dang annoying. So hopefully that gets finally like patched out. There's a bunch of other like patch notes over here. Like some of these, again, they're going to be like kind of fixes as far as issues, like certain things not running properly. But this is what I was saying over here. There's other changes because Shattered Vow, well, it's kind of important for certain classes that can use polearm, like, of course, the Spiritborn. So that's why I was saying just watch the whole video. There's extra stuff here for balance updates. So the base of the game, the mythic unique items, let's check them out. So starting right out, the Shattered Vow, which is the plus 400% damage to healthy enemies, that got replaced with a plus 44%. I'm guessing that should be an X, damage over time duration. Now, this is actually really big. You might be thinking, wait, we went from 400 to 44%, that's lower. The way the numbers work in Diablo, especially when it's like your damage over time duration, that's a really, really big thing, especially with glyphs. If you've ever played like any poison build with Rogue, like getting that extra duration is massive. So this could be something to definitely consider if you're playing any dot build with the Spiritborn, and we just dropped a build guide that does that. So that will be something kind of cool to mess around with. However, is it going to beat Radakipileke? Hell no. That thing is just way too OP. But still, once that gets nerfed, maybe this will see some play. So this one, I would say this one may not matter, especially when you look at Barb, which also could, I believe, use pole arms. It probably won't matter too much at the end of the day. We're going to have to wait until Season 7 for this to actually be good. So there's like my 2 cents on that. Now in Dariel's, we went from 3,000% damage to 4,000. Is this going to be good enough? It really wasn't absolutely terrible, but when you compare anything to the Spiritborn, that class is just so far above, like miles above. I remember in the previous season we were playing like Barrage Rogue with Andariels, and it was amazing, and unfortunately didn't get like the good treatment with the scaling that some other things got, like the Azurath, but then that got Omega nerfed. So is this going to be the best build for everything? I don't think so, but still, nice little buff over here for Andariels, and I've always liked it, so I think that's cool. I really wish they would do something to specifically the Spear, and as well as Melted Heart of Selig. Melted Heart of Selig and the Spear of Lycander, those mythic items definitely don't see any play, but it's cool to see that we're at least getting buffs to like the 2 Spiritborn polearms, but I don't think this is going to make people want to play them right now. Again, it's basically setting up for Season 7. And then as far as the unique items go, the Penitent Greaves, the boots that would chill things, well, you're going to get 3 times higher the amount of chill per second. I don't know what the actual number is unless you have like extra bonuses. I believe it's like a 1%. Like it's a really, really low chill amount, but it still applies the chill. Are you going to be able to freeze bosses consistently with this? Maybe if you stack a lot of like chill effectiveness, maybe you can try, but I don't expect like the stagger bar to go instantly up. But who knows? We'll try out. Maybe it's going to stack like crazy. Because who knows how this is going to work. A lot of times with Diablo, honestly, there's so many like weird interactions. So maybe this could be something to try out. Then with Fate, the damage distribution, I believe those are the gloves. No one uses this. Does this really matter? No. Bold Chieftains, the maximum active cooldown reduction got increased from 50 to 70%. Adaptability, both affects now basic skills even when they are not cast, such as the free Storm Strike triggered from the Great Staff of the Crone. This is actually pretty good for basic abilities where it would have a chance to cast something. So this could maybe be really good for even runes now that it'll work. The adaptability will work off of the free skills. So I like this. This is a really cool change. It's probably one of my favorite changes overall in this patch note. And then as far as Barbarian goes, we have the Ground Stop getting over double the increased damage over here. And with Strategic Ground Stop, the ultimate cooldown reduction got increased from 4 to 5 and it up to a 15 seconds from 12. So little buff over there. Hammer of the Ancients got a nice little buff over here, but what really made Hammer of the Ancients honestly good, just like a lot of Diablo skills, it was bugged. And then Upheaval is getting a little increase, and then Enhanced Upheaval is getting the stun chance increase. We got increased Lucky Hit. Furious Upheaval, the bonus damage stacks got increased from 8 to 10, and the damage per stack got increased over here. So maybe it is time to bring out the Hellhammer, man. But honestly, I think Weapon Throw is still going to be probably the go-to, and it is actually getting a buff over here, and a nerf, technically. But Double Swing, we got another 10% damage here. Ren, we got another increased damage. Damage got increased from 12% to 25. That's a pretty massive jump. And then the Bleeding also got increased, and if increasing the base damage, which could actually be both, that could be actually pretty good. Leap over here, small increase. Kick, small increase. Kick used to be one of the most OP things in the game when you would have, like, it use all of your resources. This could be something to maybe keep an eye out for, because that was pretty cool before. Iron Skin got a cooldown reduction, and then previously Iron Skin's barrier would absorb 25% more of your life. Now it grants you unhindered for 5 seconds, and its barrier absorbs 30% more of your maximal. So buff in the number, and it grants you unhindered. So that's kind of cool, especially when you're fighting the bosses, especially when you're playing melee. And then with Tactical Iron Skin, you get the increase of the heal, and then for Strategic Iron Skin, the Fortify amount got increased from 20% to 30%. So it's a nice upgrade there. With Deathblow, get another increase. With Enhanced Deathblow, you get Deathblow, the boss damage got increased. Rupture, you get a buff over there, almost double. With Enhance, you're getting some extra bonuses from 20 to 35. Steel Grasp, damage increase, this doesn't really matter. Like, there's that item that gives you, like, I don't know how many ranks to Steel Grasp, but still no one's really utilizing that. With Mighty Throw over here, the base damage got increased and the pulse damage got increased. But there was some sort of bug, and it's supposed to, like, kind of fix it. So take it with a grain of salt. It might not actually be a buff. It might be kind of like neutralizing itself to kind of fix the bug. Over here we have Heavy Handed. The crit strike damage got increased, and then with Pit Fighter over here, you deal more damage and gain damage reduction, and now you deal increased damage and gain 2% damage reduction flat versus just distance. So it's going to be a little bit more consistent, so a little bit more tankiness with Barbarian, because every barb takes this passive. It's good. And with No Mercy, it's increased critical strike against Immobilized, and now we just get critical strike chance without having to invest in it, which is great because Shroud of False Death is pretty much in most builds. So all these passives, think of it like even bigger buff, because every single one is going to increase it. But with this one, yeah, cool stuff. And then Battle Mad, you gain Berserking after swapping weapons. Now you're going to get a 40x multiplier after you swap weapons. And then Sundered Ground getting a 20% increase here. Twin Strikes, the damage got increased. That is for the Double Swing unique. And then the Tuscan, which is actually a pretty cool item. The Berserking damage bonus got increased. With Gores, we're getting a damage increase from... Oh, that's only 10%. That's kind of low. You know, looking at this, like, is Whirlwind going to be meta again because of this? No. Unfortunately, I want Whirlwind to be good, but I want straight up Whirlwind to be good. But as far as it being like the new go-to like we had before, where we were spamming with like the Tyraels, I don't think it's going to be the same. They kind of nerfed that in general, but who knows, maybe eventually Gores will be good. They've been buffing Whirlwind and like Gores. I don't know how many times we've seen Gores buffs, but we need like a big number if they want us to actually play this. A 10% increase is not going to fix it, in my personal opinion. Anyways, Red Ring of Fury, so the crit damage is getting increased over here. Then we have 100,000 steps. This effect can occur every 5 seconds instead of 10. Does this really matter? It's for like a resource? Probably not. Fields of Crimson, the blood pool damage got increased. I don't think this really matters. Overkill, the shockwave damage got increased. The Blood Rage Legendary Node, you're getting up to 15x more damage. And then the Decimator, the Vulnerable got increased another 10x, so lots of Barbarian buffs. Now with the Druid, the Tornado, the Spirit cost got reduced by 5. And then Storm Strike removed the 20% reduced damage when Sorc Strime changed to surrounding enemies. The Rabies getting a massive increase of 100%. They've buffed Rabies I don't know how many times. It's actually crazy. Is this going to be making it good? I don't know. You're going to have to ask Ace. He's the Druid player to go to for that, because I haven't built Rabies in so long, and I still think it's probably going to be bad. It's just like the way it actually like works. Grizzly Rage doesn't really matter anymore. After I dropped my build, Blizzard unfortunately nerfed the infinite Grizzly Rage build. So are people going to be playing this? Probably not, because the whole point of making it cool was to have infinite Grizzly Rage, and they nerfed it because the cooldown won't work until it ends. That's why it's the reason why people don't play it, by the way, and they're buffing it, is because the way it worked before and it was cool is you could be infinite Grizzly Rage, but you can't do it anymore, so people just dropped it. Well, with nature, companions bonus damage. Yeah, companion druid, let's go. That's it? Okay, I was hoping to see more. Ursine Strength getting some overpower. That's a big damage number increase over here. Then Bestial Rampage, we get another 10x, another 30 over here. And then Lupine Ferocity, the crit damage got increased from 70x to 100 and 140 to 200 against injured enemies. This is where it's like your every like third attack on like the werewolf skill or something like that. Then Earth and Might over here, we're getting a base chance increased over here from 10 to 15. Bonus chance for crit strikes, another 5%. Bonus chance for hitting a stun, immobilize, or knockback enemy is getting increased. Keep in mind, by the way, with all these aspects that are getting increased, if you're running, let's say, a two-hander, this is going to be double, right? And then with Nature's Fury, we have a chance increase over here. Oh, they buffed this like again. Wow, that's actually a kind of surprise. This is actually a really cool thing. I like this. This is one of my favorite things. Perfect Storm, the spirit gain got doubled and the damage got increased over here. Cool, cool. And then all the spirit boons, so the chance to reset companion skills got a buff over here. Calamity getting an ultimate duration increased over here. And then Scythe Talon, so crit strike got increased by another 5. Attack speed bonus got another 5. Avian Wrath getting another 10x over here. And then maximum life getting another 10x. Damage increase going from 250 on the overload. Wow, that's a big number increase. Okay, cool. This is actually getting me a little bit excited about Druid now. Masochistic, healing received got increased. Legendary aspects, Ursine Horror. Tectonic spike damage getting another 100. Now, if we put this on Twitter, that's 600? That actually might be something to look at, man. Storm Chaser's aspect, the tornado will seek up targets. So this is like back in Season 0, this was like one of the most popular Druid builds. So not only does it seek targets, but it actually deals 50x more damage. Throw this on a two-hander, bam, you got 100x increased damage. So it's kind of cool. Stormclaw, damage getting increased. Aspect of natural balance, the Earth critical strike damage got increased. And then the Storm skill critical strike chance got increased. The aspect of trampled Earth, the landslide damage getting increased over here. Aspect of the Tempest, this one got increased by another 5. Aspect of Rapid Bear, another increase of 30x. Eridaw's Inexorable Will, this is the ring that maybe now could be actually pretty good. It's going from 2% of your damage to 10% per 1 point of willpower. Maybe if you could become a willpower stack and you spam the ultimate and you also run the thing where like you can get ultimates off of your like Runewords, this could maybe be a really cool speedrunning build. I'm definitely going to be interested in trying this out, and we'll see how this one goes. I like this one though a lot. And then the Dolmen Stone, the boulder per rotating boulder is getting increased from 30 to 40%. And if you're only thinking that's 10, well, you're going to have, I believe, 10 boulders is the max. If you get like, 100x increased damage, this is pretty cool. And then Stone Burst, one of my favorite builds. We already have the build guide for this. It's a really cool build. It hasn't really changed since PTR, but just getting increased damage on that overall. And this is per size. I don't remember how, is it like 3 times too? So it's like basically like another 15, and then you have another like base of 5, because it's like times 3, right? And the Basilisk, they mentioned that this will now work against healthy enemies instead of on the first hit. So it works on bosses once every 5 seconds. So that can be kind of cool. Another like cool thing to maybe consider if you want to try to shift up the meta, play something a little bit different. I like that. And then we have Constricting Tendrils, the Paragon node. The Lucky Hit chance got increased from 15 to 40%. So if you really want to try to get those monstrous poison for, there's like a thing where it's like per poisoned enemy, you get increased damage on the Paragon board. That one's pretty important. I forgot what it's called, but that one does give you another multiplier. And then its damage got increased from 150 to 300% of the skills-based damage. So maybe this could be something to consider as well. That's like a big jump right here, right? Lucky Hit chance got over doubled. And then for Necromancer Decompose, we're getting some increased damage. Then the essence per second got increased on Decompose. Hemorrhage, Bone Splinters getting some damage increase. Reap, generating more instants. Bone Storm getting almost double the damage right there. Evolution, this is instead of it being 5, it's now 6, but in the higher end numbers is like 3x. But now it's just flat damage versus crit damage against vulnerable enemies. So a little bit less conditional. Then we have Compound Fracture, some extra numbers there by 3%. Gloom, the increased shadow damage now stacks up to 4 times instead of 3. The Shadow Blight getting some increased damage. Affliction getting increased damage by 20%. Empowering Reaper. Pool of Blight bonus damage got increased to 190, so another 50x there. Reaping Lotus Aspect, instead of 170, you get up to 200. I always just, by the way, go to the highest numbers. I know right now the aspects are kind of an issue, but I still try to just look at the high numbers for it to kind of make more sense for endgame. But damage increased by 5% for every 20% every critical strike damage, down from every 30. And then Mortarcrux, the chance to spawn skeletal simulacrums got increased by another 10%. Howl getting increased by another 40%. Now moving on to Rogue, Invigorating Strike. This is a basic skill. These really don't do that much damage for the most part, except for like Heartseeker was like the only thing people played. No Heartseeker buff, but Twisting Blades got a pretty sizable increase, and Pen Shot actually got a double buff over here. So with Pen Shot, you get plus another 25 damage. On top of this, you also get a 50x against elites, which is a pretty big thing for Pen Shot because it kind of sucked for elites unless you were doing just like open world content. So I like this change a lot. Pen Shot, as you guys know, is one of my favorite builds to play, and you could use my older build because, well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just more numbers that got increased here, but the stuff that you're running is the exact same pieces of gear. Kind of cool. I like this idea. And then with Flurry, you're getting a base of extra 20, and then an energy cost reduction over here. And then Rapid Fire, getting an increase here. Then Enhanced Rapid Fire, we're getting crit strike chance per shot getting increased. And then we have Dash, we're getting extra base damage. Dance of Knives added that its damage is increased by attack speed in the tooltip, improved the distance tracking, then the base damage got increased. So this is actually the most important thing. Sometimes your thing would just stop working, and hopefully this will fix it a little bit more. And then with Smoke Nade, we have the cooldown reduction getting reduced from 13 to 10, and the base damage getting increased quite a bit. And then with Countering Concealment, we're looking at this skill now properly maintains the buff for 5 seconds after casting, regardless of whether you leave stealth while it's active, so that's cool. And then Shadow View, damage to single enemies when the infection expires is increased, so another 20%. And then with Deadly Venom, getting basically a double buff over here, with Exploit getting another 6% over here. Victimize, the explosion from Victimize can happen much more frequently than before. Ooh, so this could be good. If you guys have not played the Dance of Knife build, I already have it uploaded. This is pretty much one of my favorite rogue builds. I know Rapid Fire is the S tier one. Will this change up things? This is kind of vague. Much more frequently is up in the air. Before, this was 100% the best rogue build. It was Victimized, Dance of Knives, and it was amazing. And then they like Omega nerfed it because it would only happen so often. Now, is this going to be back like the PTR and it was really good? I don't know. We'll wait and see. Now, as far as Alchemic Adventure, the potency scaling got increased from 20 to 40%. And then fewer non-physical damage types are required to gain this benefit, reduced from 3 to 2. And then Precision getting another 5% on the scaling. Close Quarters getting a buff. Momentum, damage per stack getting a buff. I believe this goes up to, what, 10 times? So it's like another 10x. Then Exposure getting increased over here, lucky hit chance, and then Stun Grenade damage got increased. Later on is Instinct, damage cap while inner sight is full, so another 25x over there. Blade Dancers getting its damage increase. Unique items, Wind Force, triple damage with the Wind Force from Barrage. So we didn't see any buffs from Barrage. I believe how this works is like Barrage has a chance to cast twice is on the thing, or core skills, it's one or the other. And then if you get this, I mean, triple damage is nothing to laugh at when it comes to like stats in the game. And if we look at this plus all of the other buffs, it could add up quite a bit. But I mean, don't expect again like Spiritborn numbers, but it's still a very nice change overall. With Condemnation, the core damage got increased over here. For this is almost double. With Pitfighter's Goal, we get another increase over here. With Ashira's, we get the damage cap getting increased, and then Scoundrel's Kiss getting its damage increase from 35 to 55. And then let's check out the Sorc. So we already had a buff with the rune on the meteor to like not spread as much, and the damage also got increased over here. And then with Enhanced Meteor, so the previous one would have a chance to have another meteor, and then now if 3 or meteor hits 3 more enemies, an additional meteor falls on the same location. And as long as this works with the rune, this could be actually a cool build. Maybe Meteor Sorc could be something to consider. I try to go over like, you know, what builds to be on the lookout for. I would really look at Meteor build. Dance of Knives Rogue, it kind of depends on what does that mean more frequently, right? But then Hydra is also getting a change over here. You gain 50x increased damage from Hydra, and then another 30x from Familiar, which I believe, is it Hydra considered a Familiar? I believe, yeah, I think it's in that category, right? So you get another increased damage from that, and then Incinerate, you get the damage per second increase over here. There's another buff with Incinerate, so consider that one, like, put that on the list of something to try out as well. If you're damage master got increased from 250 to 500. Damn, we're moving to Diablo 3 numbers right now. So that's a pretty big jump. And then before that, the burning effects would deal 60 increased damage, additional 4 per unique source. Now it deals 60x, and then additional 25x of your bonus damage to burning enemies. So overall, that probably is a buff, so you can start stacking your damage to burn. And then Avalanche, the lucky hit chance got increased by, dang, they tripled that. Doubling the chance for Avalanche to activate against vulnerable enemies. Instead, damage is now increased by another 25 against vulnerable enemies. Vulnerable is like one of the easiest things to get in the game. Like, it's a really good stat in general, so I like this change. This is definitely going to be very good. Now, I would say for every single build, you could just throw this in and it's like automatically going to be good. Like, yeah, the Avalanche may not be proccing off of everything because I believe it's like cold skills, right? Just getting another increased amount of damage against the vulnerable enemies. I wonder if this part has to also be from cold skills, because I believe that's how it works, but cool stuff indeed. And then charge flash. Now deals critical surge damage from enhanced charge bolt instead of critical flat damage. And then with overheating, it used to be channel your incinerate, and then you would get to deal some extra damage per second, and then casting incinerate refreshes and maintains this bonus. Now after channeling incinerate for 2 seconds, it deals some increased damage for 5 seconds, and casting incinerate maintains this bonus over here. So it's like probably a buff overall. And then ice shards over here. So instead of it hitting for up to 19 times, they reduced that. So that was kind of a weird thing, but instead of dealing less damage per subsequent enemy hit, so instead of getting minus 5%, now it's plus 10% for each subsequent enemy hit. So this could add up, and you know, I've always liked this build. It's one of my favorite like builds in the game. And then you could maybe mix it with as an Ice Heart Breos the Pants. Kind of a cool build to play. Again, for clearing out content, is really fast. Starfire Corona, reduce the minimum cooldown from 3 to 4 seconds and increase the number of charges from 2 to 3. This could actually be pretty nice. This is for the Meteor. So again, Meteor looking good. We also have Ice Shards, and then we also have Incinerate. But although Incinerate, I'm just going to warn you guys, it's a very niche thing to play. I had a helicopter build for memes that would just spin around. Really fun build, but it is a build that you got to hold still, so I don't know if that'll like make people want to play it more. Then with the Stalagmite Glyph, you get increased the Ice Spikes bonus. With Torch, they increase the bonus cap. With the Pyromaniac, they also increase the additional bonus rate to 18% from 10. So just a small amount of numerical changes, but all of this will start to add up. They did some changes with the Party Finder, but this is honestly, just for some feedback, Party Finder is a problem because if you're not playing Spiritborn, people kick you out of the group. I've seen that complaint, so maybe they can address this somehow. I think it's just going to be like this for the rest of the season. If you're not playing Spiritborn, you ain't going to be using Party Finder, my friend. They're just going to kick you, which is sad, but that's the reality of it. The Malignant Heart costs crafting mucus slick eggs has been decreased over here, so that's kind of cool. And then a bunch of stability issues over here, and then they actually changed something for Shred to like hit twice over here. But again, a bunch of like bug fixes for certain things. Now there is something that I did want to mention that I felt like was important. Again, this is kind of a summary here. I know there's like so much info here, but this is important to go over everything. But this one actually matters. When you would do higher pits, you would be stuck at like 70% chance to upgrade a glyph, but now it's going to actually allow you to have a reason to do glyphs upgrading, you know, doing a higher pit because it's going to let you upgrade. So that's going to be pretty cool. And then they fixed an issue also completing a 150 in a party with someone who hadn't completed lower tiers would not unlock those lower tiers for that player. So that's going to be nice. So if you want to just hit up your homie that's playing Spiritborn to get that 150, there you go. Anyways, they also fixed an issue where pets would fail to teleport, but let's be honest, most people are not playing Pet Necromancer or Pet Druid, but you know, maybe with some of those other pet Druid buffs, maybe some people will consider it. But man, I know there was a lot to take in, guys. Let me know what you think of this Omega patch notes. I think it's really cool that everything's getting buffed. If you want to know my suggestions to what would be maybe the most fun thing to play, there's a lot of stuff with the Sorc and the Druid to go ahead and mess around with. And don't skip out on the Dance of Knives for the Rogue. That would be kind of my kind of go-tos, but let me know, guys, what you plan to play after these patch notes. I'm going to definitely drop it like a Razor Wing guide because that's a skill that actually is maybe a viable option to play because it doesn't have that longer like delay on its ability. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a like on it, subscribe if you're new and want to be up to date, and we'll be covering, obviously, when Season 7 comes around very soon because the PTR is coming out very, very soon. Take care, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.